Welcome to a brand new episode of Unblocking Your Purpose. I am your friend, your host, your girl, your sister, Jada. And as always, I am so glad that you're here. We are not going to take a lot of time on this episode because we are in the midst of everything. And if you are a mama bear like me, you know what I mean. Things are busy, we're moving, we're all getting prepared for summer. And so I wanted to jump into this episode, and I am very encouraged that if you are taking time to listen to me, that to me shows that you do care about yourself because you are still making time. Even if you're listening to me as you're doing something else, you're still taking a moment to be poured into. And I do not take that lightly at all. And if you're watching me on the YouTube channel, hey, we're up in this thing. So I just want to say that in the midst of doing everything for everybody, I think it is so imperative that in those times, we are still making time for ourselves so that we can continue to do all of those things, right? So let's jump on in so we can get in and get out. So last week, we discussed why does consistency feel so hard when you're becoming this newer version of yourself, right? It's hard, right? Because maybe you're stuck in like the old ways, want to creep back in, or it's just easier because you've been accustomed to doing things a certain way. And so sometimes it's hard to become more consistent. And so I hope that you're doing things, taking steps to become more consistent as you're becoming more comfortable with who you are in this season. That is my prayer for you, my hope for you. So this week, I wanted to just let you know in case you may have forgotten, because as we are stripping away some old things, implementing some new things, and maybe that's people, maybe it's actual things, maybe it's something physically, right? I've been working out. I'm so proud of myself. I just completed the fourth week of the 75 days that I'm in. So maybe it's pounds you're shedding, whatever it is, it's hard to become and remain consistent. So just keep pushing. But also in that, I just want you to know that you're not confused, right? Because as you're making these changes, we will fall back on things when it may be a little bit harder than what we were expecting. Or, and we'll get into this, maybe you are seeing the results and it's a shock and you're just like, whoa, wait, is this too good to be true? Like, is this happening the way that I've, heard from God and prayed and gotten the discernment and the wisdom to move forward? It can all seem a bit overwhelming and it can seem confusing, but I want to let you know you are not confused. If you are hearing from God and you are moving out and things are happening, then that is what it's supposed to be. That's it. That's all. And we're going to be celebrating all the little wins. We're going to be taking that momentum as we continue to just go faster or do things more efficiently, effectively, while embracing that we are succeeding, right? So I just wanted to talk about that because I think sometimes we'll be like, oh, I'm confused, or is this right? And really and truly at the heart of it, at the core, what I really think it is. And when I'm doing this episode, y'all, I am talking to y'all, but to me. Okay. I think sometimes we feel like we're confused, but really and truly it's because we're avoiding things. We've asked for it. We've been given the direction. We've been given the guidance. We've been given the next ordered steps. And because our mind isn't ready, or we're concerned or worried, then we're avoiding. And I think the avoidance is what kind of allows us to then seem confused, act confused, and basically don't take action. All right. So no, I don't think we are confused. I think a lot of times when we know we need to move into this next area, step into this next version of ourselves, it's hard. And so in that, we'll be like, I'm just not going to do it. So then when we avoid it, then we're like, oh no, is that what I was supposed to do? So let's get into that a little bit, shall we? So let me tell you, I believe you already have more clarity than you think, especially if something keeps coming up and keeps coming back. For example, I, my oldest is 9. She'll be 10 later in the fall. And about a year after she was born, I was like, I really want to become like a life coach. I really want to pour into other women. Because at this point, I was married. We were married for 4 years before we had her. We had built a house, taking care of parents, double careers, just doing a lot. But I was like, I want to share this. I want to pour into other women and encourage them and let them know that they can do all the things and they can have, the desires of their hearts. And so I started on this path, on this journey, and here we are 9 years later, 9 years later, and I'm still kind of like, I really want to coach people, but I still have my own hangups. But it doesn't mean that I'm not clear, because I am clear that I am supposed to be here to pour into other women and to encourage them and motivate them, inspire them to live their best now, to make time for themselves now, not to just burn out, because that is not what he has called us to do. But in that, I would get caught up in my head, right? Like, who am I to teach anybody? Who am I to, validate someone? I would go through all these things. So then I was like, oh, let me go get these certifications so I'll have something to validate. And I did. And so I'm proud of that, right? But what I'm saying is we really have more clarity than we give ourselves credit for. Like, we've prayed about it, we've taken the steps, we've processed it. So, and we keep coming back to the same thing. Yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. So why are we thinking we're not clear? And then really and truly, again, we're avoiding, right? We're clear on it, but we don't want to move out for whatever the reasons. And maybe it's just the fears, right? So let's get in that a little bit, because I remember, and even now I'll have these moments of like fear of failure. What if I put myself out here and no one is picking up what I'm putting down? Then am I confused because am I really hearing from God? Is that really what he asked me to do? So I've gone through that, and I still battle with that fear of failure. So it's like, ooh, I'm gonna go so far, but not all the way, right? Or I would be on the opposite side. I'd be like, man, what if this is successful? Is my husband going to support me? What does this look like? Am I then going to have to make different decisions that maybe I'm not going to feel comfortable making? So fear of failure, fear of success, just all these roadblocks, if you will. But really and truly, it just comes back to avoidance and maybe just the fear, that courage that we need. So I just want you to know that, yes, fears are going to disguise themselves, right? And Satan is still busy, and he's still out here doing his thing. So he knows how to tap into that, and will tap in on the things that are going to be the most obvious to us to be like, nope, I shouldn't be doing this. Nope, I'm going to be a failure. And I'm just here to say that yes, you and me, we have to work through that. We have to know that what God has put in us is greater than anything Satan can ever try to take away. Because again, he that is within us is, he's mightier and better than anything out here that we're dealing with. So if we are saying that we are truly having faith, we should be having that faith over fear, right? We should be like, okay, I may not see the whole picture, but there should be those little glimpses and those little like, yep, that's where I'm supposed to be. Yep, I'm on the track. Yep, God, I don't see it this way. Can you make it clear for me? And we go and we ask, and then he shows it. So we have to get out of our own ways, get out of his way, and just step out there and do it. That's why I show up now. It's not perfect. I've actually been in a class to do this, and lives, and until I'm able to fully understand and implement, I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to be here. Whether 2 people listen to me or 200, I'm doing what I know I'm called to do. So regardless if that fear of no one's listening or the fear of success of a lot of people are listening, I still have to do my part, and I still have to move out and do what he's called me to do. So we are already more clear than we think we are. Fear is going to show up and try to show out, but it's up to us to overcome those things, right? So again, obedience. Can we talk about that for a minute? I remember just a couple of weeks ago, I was following someone on TikTok, and I forgot what her message said, but I do remember me saying, we have to have obedience over obligation. Right? So we sit up here and we're like, oh, I'm obligated to go to all these things for these kids. I'm obligated to do all of these things. But are we being obedient to what he has given us? Are we obedient to the gifts that he has put into us? Because if we're not doing that, then we can then kind of turn it around and be like, well, I'm confused. What should I do? Is this really right? But if we're doing what he told us to do, then it's going to become abundantly clear, right? So we have to make sure that while obedience is not easy, I am not here to sell you anything. It is not easy. And it is easier for us to, again, fall back into those old ways, to fall into the things that make us comfortable. But we have to have enough of that faith to keep pushing and doing what we're called to do. So, no, it's not easy. It is going to require us to take those steps, maybe before we even understand it. And so that would be one of my main challenges for you. What are you avoiding that you need to just start stepping out on, even if you don't understand and see the whole picture? What is that for you? And what can you start doing to, one, acknowledge that, and then two, to start making a plan to, overcome it and push through it? We are not going to always see everything. And was it MLK about the staircase, right? And so we may not see that next step, but we have to keep taking the steps. And even when you don't want to, you just got to do it, right? You just have to do it. And it's amazing, I think, when we want to do things, or in our mind it sounds really good, but then when it's time to do it, it's hard. And we're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then we push through it, almost like my exercise journey, right? Like, I was sore for like those first 3 weeks. It took me a while, and I had to stretch and do some extra walking just to loosen things up. And I knew, though, if I kept going, I would get to the other side of it. And that's what I am encouraging you. Like, keep taking those steps. And it may not make sense. It may not be fully clear. But if you know what that end goal is, and you know that you're asking for him to give you that next step, and you're making that forward progress, you will eventually get there. And then you will see it. And you'll look back and be like, whoop, look where I came from. Look what I'm doing, right? And we give him all the honor and the glory and the praise. And then we keep going. We ask, what is next? What else do I need to do? So just a few things I want you to think about this week. And then we are going to get up out of here. What have you been calling confusion that is really avoidance? What are you like? Oh no, I don't think I'm supposed to do that. And really and truly, you just are in your own way, and you need to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and do it. What is that? Come share that with us in the Facebook group. Don't forget, the Facebook group is our community. It is growing, and I am so excited about that. What decision have you been delaying? What is something that you're like, I need to stop doing this, or I need to start doing this, and you're just putting off? Maybe that's something you take a step forward on this week. And what is one step that you already know that you need to take, right? So maybe you're like, okay, the end state is here. I want to end here. And I know I need to start here. You know what that step is. And for whatever the reason is, you're just not taking it. What is that? We can also help you with that. And again, remember, I am now doing my life coaching. It took me a while, but I am doing that. So if you need that extra, safe space, a place to land, a place to just come and like put it all out. I love to do a good brain dump, and then we're like, okay, how do we shape this? I am here for you. You just let me know, and we will make that work. So look, if you've been praying for direction, if you've been praying for discernment, if you've been praying for, hey, Lord, I want to make this happen. What is my next step? God has already probably been speaking, but because you're avoiding it, you're either not hearing it or you're pretending not to hear it. And I need us to stop doing either of those things. We need to hear him, and we need to make moves. Okay? Because your future self is going to thank you, and you don't know who is waiting on you to get out of your way to help them. So with that, I hope you have an amazing week. I know schools are getting out. My babies will be out this week. And then we have Memorial Day. So we have a lot of things coming up, a lot of things to look forward to. But I don't want you or me to get lost in all of this as we're starting to see the fruits of the labor that we've been putting in. How we've been pruning, how we've been planting, how we've been, protecting and watering and nurturing. And now we're starting to grow in this. So we need to continue to do that. All right. So share this with someone if you believe it will bless them. Drop some comments if you're in on the Facebook. That would be, I'm sorry, not the Facebook. We'll go to the Facebook community. But if you're watching on YouTube, drop something. Just drop a little gem. Let me know if this helps. And I cannot wait to be back with you. And oh my gosh, will that be the next to last? I think we'll have another Monday, right? I think some of these months have extra weeks. So either way, I will be back next week. And until then, know that you are not behind. You're taking those steps forward. You're becoming who He has called you to be. You're becoming who you want to be. And I am so excited to be here on that ride with you. And until next week, know that I love you. Thanks so much. Bye.